Giants on Earth. Are giants real? The age-old fascination with giants has persisted throughout human history and transcended throughout our culture. Tales of these colossal figures have sparked our imagination and curiosity for generations. Some may dismiss these theories as mere legends or fantasies, while others question whether there is evidence leading to the possibility that giants, in some form, may have once roamed our world. In fact, 246 million years ago, they walked the earth. In fact, it was the first giant creature to ever inhabit the earth that we know of. Which country is known as Land of Giants? Norway, the land of giants, famous for its mountains, glaciers, fjords, and midnight sun. Norway is also full of world-class whitewater, and yet during the summer months, many kayakers flock elsewhere in Europe and leave the Mecca of Norway alone. What is the largest human skeleton ever found? The largest human skeleton ever found was 25.5 feet long, with a width of 10 feet from the left to the right shoulder and a depth of 5 feet when measured from back to the breastbone. What was the tallest giant ever discovered? The skeleton dates to 4240 to 4100 calendar year BP, corresponding to the Longshan culture 4,400 to 4,000 years ago. The skeletal characteristics point to a young male between 16 to 18 years old with a height of 193 centimeters. This is the tallest skeleton ever discovered in prehistoric China and thus was named Longshan giant. Were there giants in Africa? Strings of vertebrae the size of frying pans and human-sized bones comprise the skeleton of an unnamed giant from Africa's deep past. 4 years ago, we followed a local nomad on a motorbike to the first skeleton, unearthing just enough to outline its 60-foot length. Angus MacAskill, 1825 to 1863. The Scottish giant was born on the island of Berneray in the Western Isles, stood at 7 feet 9 inches or 236 centimeters tall. At his memorial museum, a life-size model illustrates his acromegalic features, while documentation alludes to another giant in his ancestry. In Northern Ireland, we know of course the giant's causeway columns of hexagonal and octagonal basalt could only have been handled by a group of engineering-conscious giants who ran a combined operation with the giants of Scotland to facilitate easy access between the two sister countries. Before it collapsed, the causeway stretched as far as the island of Staffa, which is also famous as the home of another Scottish giant, Fingal, whose cave was remembered by Mendelssohn. Charles Byron, another Irish giant, was born in Little Bridge, Northern Ireland in 1761. His father was native to the area, but his mother was Scottish. Incidentally, he was supposedly related to the Knight brothers, the tallest identical twins at 7 feet 2 inches, born in nearby Megarafeld. He grew rapidly in his late teens, featured in street shows in Ireland and later in London on occasion with Knight brothers. After his death, his skeleton was acquired by the surgeon John Hunter and was eventually deposited in the Hunterian Museum in London. In 1909, Harvey Cushing, a Boston neurosurgeon, and Sir Arthur Keith, the museum curator, documented that he had an enlarged pituitary fossa, concluding that his gigantism was most likely due to a pituitary adenoma. Recent DNA studies have confirmed that mutations within the aryl hydrocarbon receptor interacting protein, also known as AIP, gene cause pituitary tumorigenesis and are now recognized as a cause of familial pituitary adenomas, displaying autosomal dominant inheritance and variable expression. Screening for AIP mutations is now recommended for patients with any type of pituitary adenoma occurring in a familial setting, allowing subsequent pre-symptomatic testing of relatives with the hope that early diagnosis should allow prompt treatment intervention to avoid excessive growth. The hereditary aspect to pituitary disease is not new. The first recorded patients with isolated familial acromegaly were the Hugo brothers, Anton and Baptiste, in the early 20th century. Their heights were over 2.3 meters and they had 5 normal siblings, although looking at photos, at least one of the sisters is taller than her normal brothers and has an acromegalic jaw and could potentially be an AIP gene carrier. A midget born in 1882 who appeared sometimes with his sister Marguerite. It is not clear if Finn McCool or the Scottish or Cornish giants were related. Perhaps they were, and if excavations ever commenced around Staffa and a tooth or bones were recovered, we may get genetic confirmation of some hitherto unknown genetic ancestry of the giants inhabiting the British Isles. What did giants eat? There are giants in virtually every mythology on Earth. In folklore, they were portrayed as meat-eating hunters, some even cannibalistic, but in the myths, they are identical with gods and are farmers and hunters, some even imbibing beer and wine. Why did giants disappear? Instead, it appears that the giants of Ice Age were driven to extinction by climate change, human activities, especially hunting, or both. Thank you.